الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So last week we started off this difference of opinion subject, and I kind of show you these two slides before we moved on to the rest of the topic. So the idea was that, for example, this sentence we talked about that never says she stole my money. How you say it can have, even though this sentence has 7 words, but these 7 words, the way you stress each word can change the meaning of it, right? So if I stress the word I instead of the rest of it, it means that I never said someone else, I never said she stole my money. So if I say stress on I, it becomes I never said. Meaning somebody else said it, right? Same way, if you stress on never, it becomes I never said she stole my money. That's simple, straightforward. But if I stress on said, so it means I never said it, but she did steal something like that, right? And if I stress on she, I never said she stole my money. It means somebody else stole. Yeah. And if I stress on the same sentence, so I never said she stole my money. It means she probably I gave it to her. And same way, if I say I never said she stole my money, means she could have stolen somebody else's money, not my money. Or if I say I never said she stole my money, meaning not my money, but something else she stole from me. Yeah. So one same sentence has just the way you say it can cause the meaning to be completely different than what you intend. So the idea here is it's not that this sentence is the one that's the crux of us in Islam having a difference of opinion, but there are many different reasons we talked about last week that can cause a difference of opinions. Now, we talked about things like, for example, there's a difference in methodology of usul al-fiqh can result into difference of opinion. For example, the subject of beard. Now, scholars have the opinion that it's an obligation to have a beard for the men, or the set of scholars, they say it's a sunnah, it's a recommended action. While there is a set of scholars who say it's a mubah, it's a permissible action either way. You keep it or you don't keep it. Now, when we are talking about difference of opinion, does not mean I'm saying, go pick the easy one from these or something. This is not the intent here, this is not the idea that we are trying to convey here. What we're trying to understand here is, what are the things that can lead to difference of opinions, and what are the things where we can have difference of opinion and they're valid to have differences, and while there are places where you cannot. For example, the basic aqidah of Islam. So in the case of the aqidah, there is no difference of opinion. I'm talking about the basic, the crux of the aqidah, which is the main believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the last messenger, and the rest of them believing in the messengers that were sent prior to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believing in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, besides the Quran as well, and the malaika, and which is the angels, and the day of judgment, and the khair wa shar from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the basic tenets of the iman. This is not we are talking about, scholars can differ about this. No, there is no difference of it. This is a qat'i, this is something which is definite in Islam that we all have. So we're not even discussing the belief system here. As a matter of fact, in general, we're discussing ahkam. Ahkam means rulings in Islam. Okay, so now, like one of the rulings mentioned here, or it can have a ruling like the English phrase I talked about, similarly in English, in Arabic also, but not the same way. It's not the issue of the stress, but it's a more of issue of, which is called a word can have multiple meaning, or which is one word can have, I'm not sure what's the word, English word, homonym, I guess it's called, not a synonym. One word can have more than one meaning. Synonym is multiple words can have same meaning, isn't it?
Are you talking about homophone?
Homophone is more of a sound, right? Homonym is more of a, I think, but it doesn't matter. In Arabic, we say lafz mushtarak. Lafz mushtarak means that it has the same, one meaning can have multiple, actually it's not mushtarak, it's mutarabit. In this case, it can have, it's mushtarak. The one word can have multiple meanings, right? So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ ثلاثة قروء. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the women who are divorced. They should wait for a period of 3 quru. Now quru in Arabic can have both meanings. One is the time of impurity for the woman, and so 3 periods of impurity. And the other is 3 consecutive periods of 3 purity, 3 periods of purity, impurity and purity. Okay, so that can change. It can add or subtract the number of days that iddah is supposed to last in these cases. Okay, so now where is it coming from? Does it even have, or what should we do? Meaning attitude towards the mujtahid's own opinion. Number one, that the examples in the following slides we will talk about that how and why we say that differences of opinions are valid in Islam as well. Okay, the validity. What is the evidence for that to say yes, it is valid to have differences of opinions? And we can see that among the Sahaba, Tabi'een, Tabi'een, meaning the generation of Rasulullah, the Sahaba around Rasulullah, the companions of Rasulullah, the next generation after the Sahaba, which is the companion of Muhammad, and the following generation, which is these 3 generations normally are referred as the Salaf or the Salaf. This is the Salaf. The Salaf, these 3 generations are Salaf that we talk about. I'm not talking about the Salaf from the perspective of sometimes today people call themselves a Salaf, even though I think they don't mean that way. People take it this way. What they're trying to say is we are the followers of the Salaf. Okay? So now Salaf is a term in general was used for the first 3 or 4 generations. So the fuqaha and the muhaddithin that we find from those generations, normally these are the ones we're mentioned to. These are the ones we can find from their lives that they differ, and hence we find that different schools of thought existed. The difference, like for example, when we say Hanafi school of thought, or Shafi'i school of thought, Maliki or Hanbali, and of course these were not the only 4 schools of thought that existed. These are the ones that we have now more commonly used, even though there were many other schools of thought as well. We talked about this last talk as well. Now about although the mujtahid were most convinced by the ijtihad they perform. What I mean by that is, when a mujtahid does an ijtihad, any person who has the capability of doing ijtihad, we should not take this word lightly, by the way. When we say it's not any random person gets up and he says, I feel like this ayah or this verse or this hadith has these meanings. No, that's not what we're discussing. We're talking about the knowledgeable person who has the knowledge of the Arabic language, the Quran and the Sunnah and the Ijma' Sahaba, Qiyas, the sources, and on top of it the Arabic language. And some of them even add on to other opinions as well. So now, and I am not even going to go into this whole detail of what are the other characteristics or the knowledge pieces that we mujtahid had. But when we say mujtahid is a much higher term than nowadays when we say somebody is an alim. Okay? Or somebody is even a hafiz al-Qur'an, or mujtahid, or a mufti. Yeah, you heard these terms. Mufti does not necessarily mean that he has the knowledge of extracting rules. Okay, mujtahid is the one who can put the effort to extract the rulings from the sources of Islam. Okay, so mufti sometimes is the one who is passing you, letting you know the fatwa about a certain issue that can be from many other different books that already exist of fiqh. Okay, now, and within the mujtahideen, there are very different categories of the mujtahideen. A mujtahid which is referred as mujtahid mutlaq. Mujtahid mutlaq is the one who has his own usul that he follows. Mujtahid mutlaq, like Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, Malik, Hanbal, and so on and so forth. Now, besides that, there's another type of mujtahid which is called mujtahid madhab. So I talked about last week. So when we say madhab, let's not take the word madhab in a desi way. That it does not mean religion. Here, madhab means a school of thought in the Arabic, or a way, or a path. Now, so the students of those mujtahid mutlaq, mujtahideen, or the ones who came way after even those scholars like Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, or Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, and so on and so forth, even today, the one who followed their usul, their principles, they end up, the ruling that they will extract at the end, that will be called the Hanafi opinion. For example, if it's following Imam Abu Hanifa's usul. Okay? So even though, so another thing to remember, when you hear a term, somebody says this is a Hanafi opinion, it does not necessarily mean that it is a Abu Hanifa's opinion. Okay? And if somebody says that something is a Maliki opinion, it does not necessarily mean it's an opinion of Imam Malik. All it means is whoever, whether it was Imam Malik, whether it was Abu Hanifa, whoever extract the rule or the ruling at the end, he used the specific principles, the specific usul to extract the rules. So the one who uses Abu Hanifa's usul and extracts the rule at the end, that opinion will be called Hanafi. For example, even let's say Abdul Rahman is the one who goes and extracts the rule based on, because he's, let's say, the mujtahid in that specific school of thought, and he uses Abu Hanifa's usul. Even though the ijtihad is done by Abdul Rahman, but the opinion will be called a Hanafi opinion in this case. I hope I'm making it clear, yeah? Does it make sense so far? If not, please raise your hand and I'll try to explain more. Good? Okay. Okay. Now, in general, ijtihad is done on the things which are new or the things in which there is no definite ruling exists. Okay? Now, so when Mujtahid does put all his efforts, so ijtihad is the word from jahada, he put all his efforts and he concludes an opinion which is the most right opinion for him. He has to follow the opinion. But he looks at his opinion as a right opinion with this understanding he can be wrong, while he looks at the other scholarly opinions which are based on Islamic principle, by the way. Opinion does not mean I think so. Opinion means based on scholarly, it's a scholarly opinion based on the text from the Islamic literature, Islamic text. Okay, so he looks at other opinions as they are wrong with this understanding that they can be right. Okay, now this can be seen that okay, so when I am doing my opinion, I understand, or if a mujtahid he accepts the rule and ends up with the right opinion, thinks this is the right opinion for him to follow, there is a possibility he can be wrong, while there is a possibility of other opinion can be right. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean if mujtahid made a mistake, so now from now on we bar him to make any ijtihad now? He cannot make any ijtihad at all. No, rather what we see is, as Rasulullah said, that إِذَا حَكَمَ الْحَاكِمُ, that when a ruler, or could be a judge, he makes a judgment. Okay? فَاجْتَهَدَ ثُمَّ أَصَابَ, he puts all the efforts and he is right. The conclusion he ended up with is right. Talking about in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَلَهُ وَجْهَانِ, for him there are two rewards. Then it says, وَإِذَا حَكَمَ فَاجْتَهَدَ ثُمَّ أَخْطَأَ, and the one who makes a mistake after doing the ijtihad, فَلَهُ وَجْهَانِ, for him there is a reward. There is a single reward for him. So obviously from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're not getting a reward for committing a sin. So it's not a sin. As a matter of fact, for doing the ijtihad and even acting on it, he's still getting an ajr for that. So, that makes sense? So it's not the issue of, but if you know opinion is wrong, of course you're not supposed to follow it. Yeah? If you know the opinion is wrong, meaning you are able to see the mistake in there, so then you are not supposed to follow the opinion which is incorrect. Okay, now, if a ijtihad, so ijtihad must be only done with appropriate qualifications and knowledge. That's what I was trying to say. We're not going into detail of the qualifications and the knowledge, but remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, pursue not of which you do not have the knowledge. إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا, that your heart, all the hearts and the basar, the sight and the hearing, you all be questioned on the day of judgment. Okay? So it cannot be based on just whims and the desires, and a person should not be saying things or coming up with opinions left and right without having the knowledge. So the knowledge is the key thing here. So without that, we should not be concluding things or saying things that I have ijtihad, I have an opinion, this or that. You can be quoting somebody's opinion who has the knowledge to do that. That's a different story. Okay? So when you are, for example, telling somebody, let's say, how to pray, and in the salah, you are telling him whether to do rafa'idain, raising the hand in the salah or not, or putting the hand here, or leaving that out. You are quoting some other scholarly opinions about this based on the text from the Quran and the Sunnah. Yeah? So that's a different story than a person who does not have knowledge and he starts making up opinions. Okay? That's not allowed. That's a haram person is committing it. Okay. Now, so what should be our attitude towards the difference of opinion? So number one should not consider another opinion as being un-Islamic. Talking about opinion which is also extracted from the text of Islam. Okay? Now, but at the same time, be careful on that. We should not be respecting the opinions that doesn't have basis. It's not somebody has he feels like it about an opinion, or he says, oh, this is more beneficial to do something like in this way or that way. And there is no backup from the Quran or the Sunnah and the sources of Islam. Okay. Now, so this is why it is important for the scholars to produce their dalil, produce their evidences for whatever opinions that they are showing to the people, that the people know about them. Now, is it a must for a scholar to always present the evidence? No, it's not a must. Why am I saying that? Because there's a clarification has to be there. Not everybody can understand the evidences, for example. Okay? But the scholar who's presenting the opinion, specifically when he's the one who expected that, he must have the evidence. But does he have to present all the time whenever he's talking about that? For example, if I am saying here, somebody asked me a quick question that can we do the Jam' al-Qasr, or combining the salah and shortening the prayer if we are traveling? And if I am explaining to him that this is the opinion, this is my understanding on the subject, I don't have to go, or a scholar doesn't have to go in the detail of why. But if it's questioned, and especially to a person who has the one who expected the opinion, he must present his evidences as well. Okay? Now, because as I said, there are cases that somebody may forget, has forgotten the evidence, not necessarily means that he doesn't have evidence, but he should provide the evidence if it's needed. Or the person who has questioned, he may not be able to comprehend the evidence either. So, because of that, understanding should be this, that a scholar must provide the evidence when it's required or when it's needed. So it must be based on the text of the Quran, and the Sunnah, and the sources of Islam. Now, this view towards the other opinions will ensure that the correct Islamic attitude, so meaning we have the correct understanding on the subject only when we deal with the other opinions in the manner in which we have the due respect, as long as the other opinions is based on the Islamic text. Yeah. At the same time, the opinions that do not have any basis of Islam, just putting a label of Islam does not make it Islamic. I always kind of give an example like this. For example, if you have a bottle of liquor and you put a label of Coke on it, or Sprite on it, or whatsoever halal label on top, does not change the reality of the liquor. That will continue to be haram product that you have in your hand. So hence, just calling something Islamic does not make it Islamic. It has to have the content coming from the sources of Islam as well. Okay. Now, how do we deal with the different opinions? So what happens about different opinions is there are variation in different opinions to understand. Where do the different opinion lies? In general, and on a human-based level, whether a person is Muslim or non-Muslim, we have three different kinds of relationships. One relationship is directly with the Creator. As a Muslim, we're talking about Islam, let's stick with Islam. So we have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of ibadat. When we do the act of ibadah, this is between a person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Now, like for example, if I'm praying alone, this is my salah between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if I carry a different opinion than you, it does not cause any kind of friction between us. Make sense? So, if I raise the hands this way or this way for dua, or don't raise the hand, this is me between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the other relationship we have is with ourselves, the way we dress. Yeah? This is called al-busal, or what we eat, or our akhlaq, our mannerism. So all these things are individualistic, your own thing. A person is a truthful person as far as himself. Now the third relationship, which is the mu'amalat, which you deal with others. This is where the whole problem of difference of opinion and the friction caused by difference of opinion come into existence, right? So if you are dealing with somebody else, and you are trying to do a transaction, whatever it is, it's a social transaction, it's an economic transaction, it is a judiciary, whatever kind of transaction it is. Now, when you are doing a transaction and the two parties involved, or more than two parties involved, have different opinions, to conclude the transaction, somebody has to give up. Because you are differing in what is considered as a complete transaction. Yeah? Are you following what I'm trying to say here? So in those cases, this is where the problem comes in, and the most important thing is how do we deal with that? And there is a principle, the Shaykh principle, that says, Amrul Imam yarfa'u khilaf. The Imam's verdict or his opinion is the one, his decree, it settles down the differences. Okay? وَأَمْرُ الْإِمَامِ نَافِذٌ ظَاهِرًا وَبَاطِنًا. That Imam's decree, the ruler, which is ruling by Islam, when he adopts an opinion, then everybody follows the opinion openly and privately, because it's an obligation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to follow the Amir. There's an obligation on the Muslim. Now, that is the one, what it does is, where he can adopt opinions, the one that he understands as the opinion, the right opinion. And when he adopts the opinion, not all the opinions, he's not the one who's conducting and forcing people to pray a certain way. He's not the one who's going and telling people you can eat this and not eat this. No, rather we're talking about those situations where you are having transactions with the others. You need to have an adopted way, adopted opinions, and that can resolve the differences people can have. So I'm going to take Abdul Rahman example again. Me and Abdul Rahman are dealing with something, and now we differ in our opinions. Now, he may have opinion A, I have opinion B, and now the Amir that we have over us, he adopts opinion C, which is completely different than my opinion or his opinion. Now, both of us have to abide by it, and our transaction is smoothly complete. Or he can adopt the opinion of Abdul Rahman, or the opinion he was following, and I have to give in at that time, or give up. Yeah? So this is the way Islam teaches us how the difference of opinions can be taken care of. Now, difference of opinion must not be thought of that means this unity. This is why I was mentioning earlier. The Sahaba, they differed, Tabi'in differed, Tabi'in differed. That did not cause disunity. Having different opinions is not a problematic thing, and throughout the history of Islam we can see that these differences existed. Nowadays, many a times, these differences are highlighted over us to show how can we unite the Muslim Ummah while they have so many differences. Those differences have no problem. It's the mechanism and the method that is missing that can keep the Ummah intact, while there are many things we can continue to have different opinions as well. But the ones that can cause the problem over there, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam, whatever you want to call them, he is the one who adopts opinion and everybody has to follow it. Yeah. Now, so how do you achieve unity with difference of opinion? So, as I said, they always existed, and many things that we'd like to see the unity which we don't have. For example, Ramadan is not too far away from today now, and we will be again going back to the same cycle. Yeah? Local cycling, global cycling, calculation, or by the way, there's one city opinion also exists, which is not Islamic anyways, but there are some people who think of if you can fast in the month of December because Ramadan will be shorter, the fasting will be shorter. So, of course, there's no valid Islamic evidence behind that, right? These are the places we really want to be united. Listen, I mean, it's getting to the point, within the family you find people have 2 Eids, 3 Eids. Same family. I'm not even going outside the house even. Within the same household, people may have 2 or 3 Eids, different days, or starts in Ramadan at different times. It's becoming that silly. That's a subject of its own, and I have given a lecture on this difference of opinion about the moon sighting and stuff. If somebody is interested, I can press it on, or we can have it some other time, inshallah, before the Ramadan starts. It's always good to have that information before this thing happens, not day before, day after, and then people are just defending their opinions. Yeah. But again, I'm not here to tell you follow one opinion or other opinion at this point, even though we're discussing the subject. Rather, I'm trying to explain that how to deal with the differences and how Islam dealt with it. So the way to achieve Islam unity is not by suppressing different opinions and calling for abandonment of the madhab. This is not what we're talking about. We're not going to follow any madhab, so everybody will be united. This is not what it means by that. It's actually madhab. They existed before. They can continue to exist. Maybe more madhab, Allahu Alam. But the main thing is how to unite is not abandonment of these principles or the way you expect the rules. Rather, we have to get the mechanism of uniting the Ummah back, which is one leadership under which the Ummah unites. Okay. So this is basically, we talked about in the last 2 lectures, last week, today, or the week before, which is what is the madhab. We talked about the reasons of difference of opinion, among mujtahideen, that could be legislative sources, text itself, usul al-fiqh, the language, and how we deal with these differences. If there's any questions about the subject we have covered so far, I'll try to address it, inshallah. Yes?
Can there be a difference of opinion within the same
School of thought? Yes. You can, and you can find that. I'm not sure if I mentioned that last week when we were talking about. Any of you have taken any of the coursework for the, I think it's called an Alim course or something? There's a book that the Hanafi school, for example, uses, which is called Mukhtasar al-Quduri. Okay? It's available online also. You can check it out if you like. Quduri, the famous Hanafi scholar. So if you open that book, you will see he is mentioning opinions about subjects one by one. Salah, Tahara, even marriage, divorce, Kitab al-Buyu, which is buying and selling, and even ruling and all those things, you find them. And he's giving opinions like this. This is the opinion about the subject, and then he will say things like this. This is the opinion of the Sahibain. While Abu Hanifa's opinion is different than Sahibain. Sahibain are the 2 companions or the students of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Muhammad and Imam Abu Yusuf. So whenever they differ, he will mention like this. This is the opinion of Sahibain and Abu Hanifa's opinion is other. And if it's all of them together, he does not mention anything. And sometimes he will say, this is the opinion of Shaykhain. Shaykhain means the 2 older ones. Who are the 2 older among these 3? Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf. Okay? Same way, you will find the opinion that says the opinion of Tarafain. Tarafain means 2 extremes, the youngest one and the oldest one. Which means Abu Hanifa and Imam Muhammad agree on something, Abu Yusuf have a different opinion. Okay? So you can see that there are differences of opinions among them. even Salat al-Dhuhr time, Abu Hanifa's opinion is, which is when the size of the shadow of an object is twice the size of the object. Yeah? That's until that time you can play Salat al-Dhuhr. Why Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad's opinion is no. The Salat al-Dhuhr time ends at when the size of the shadow is equivalent to the size of the object. Okay? And if, which means is this, right? So, someone like this, so this is the object, yeah? So, sun goes up like this, start from here, go up, up, up. So, this is the peak. The moment it starts declining, it's called zawal. When it starts declining, so you see that when right on top there is no shadow, actually, almost no shadow. When you go to the right, now the shadow goes here, so it will start increasing. Keep increasing, the sun is going down like this, and it's keep increasing. So now when it's equal to the object, like this size, that's the end of Salat al-Dhuhr time from according to the opinion of Yusuf and Imam Muhammad and Imam Shafi'i actually. Okay? And then Abu Hanifa's opinion said, no, this is not up to here. Actually, it's gonna go be like, keep going and continue to go up till this shadow becomes twice the size, so it becomes like this. Make sense? So, I'm just trying to show that now they both have their own evidences. Not to say that they don't have evidences. They do have their evidences. Now, of course, the one who believed in the opinion of the two shadows is the double the shadow of the object, he sticks with that, and the one who believes in the other one sticks with that opinion. Make sense? So within the school of thought, we can have different opinions. Could be a different reason. It could be because of later on, the scholars, they found some of the other evidences the previous scholars did not find. Or they looked at it differently than the first one looked at it. The reasons that we mentioned. Any other question? Did I confuse you more about the subject or? Yeah, just key thing is to be patient with each other about the differences of opinions that exist within ourselves, which are Shari'i differences of opinion. Even the one who is not giving you a Shari'i evidence and all that is not Shari'i opinion, I'm not telling you to lose the patience or something with them. Discuss with each other. Key thing should be open to discussion. Always. As a matter of fact, when different people approach a problem with the different ways, you are able to see many different ways of doing the very same action. And in general, the one which is the strongest one, or the most right one, is starting to prevail also. Don't think that whatever prevails becomes right, because you can have Jahiliyyah prevailing today, does not mean the Jahiliyyah is right. Okay. Alright. Let's stop here then. SubhanAllah wa bihamdihi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.